Hey, you guys, and welcome to the first episode of I'm Tired Podcast. I'm your host, Inoy. Although this is the first episode, I'm gonna name the episode 00 because this episode is gonna be an introduction. I'm gonna introduce myself, tell you guys how this podcast came to be, and I also wanted to speak about things that have been bothering me lately. So, yeah, let's get into it. My real name is Rathanak Kom, but people call me Inoy. I've also been called Roth, R, Rock My Cog, but I prefer Inoy. I currently reside in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but I was born in Lowell, Massachusetts. I've moved around a lot. I lived in Lowell at first, moved to Philly, moved back to Lowell, then moved back to Philly, and I've been here ever since. I have split personalities and I base them off the two cities that I was raised in. So my Philly side is the ghetto, ratchet, don't fuck with him side. My Lowell side is the kind, sophisticated customer service representative side. I can't choose which side is gonna come out on which day. So I'm sorry if you get the Philly side because he is just ghetto. He's fucking ratchet and he's a fucking bitch. So I'm sorry. My hobbies include volleyball, dancing, and video gaming. I've played volleyball since I was in middle school, and I just recently got back into it thanks to my sister's boyfriend. He's in a league, but he also plays at a local church. I don't know if you guys would consider it local because it's a 30-minute drive from me. But yeah, we play at the local church every Monday night, and I've been going there since April of this year. So shout out to Derek for putting me on because I love volleyball and I haven't played since high school, which was 2018. So it's been 5 years since I played. But I still kind of got it. I'm not gonna lie, my short ass, I can get up there. I don't care what anybody says. It's like, no. I still need a lot more practice because me and some friends are looking into joining a league. And I went to a league game and they're nice. I started actually dancing at 12, 13, or 14, around those age. I actually have a video of me dancing at 14, the first choreography I ever learned. In video gaming, I only play basic games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Dead by Daylight. I'm not really into it, but those are the three main games that I play. I'm taking this online course that my cousin actually recommended. It's an IT course. I've been in it for over a month now. I have about 3 months left to go. This course is to help me gain the knowledge for IT so that I can take the CompTIA A Plus exam and get certified in that. I'm also going to get certified in Google IT. And those things are important if you're looking for an IT job. All right, let's talk about the podcast. I'm going to tell you guys how this podcast came to be. My previous job, I was working as a fabricator. I was responsible for operating a robotic welding machine, and we were allowed to have our earphones in. The first couple of days, I would listen to music while doing my work, but it kind of got boring. Like, I listen to music every single day to the point where it's just boring to me now. So I got tired of listening to music, and I remembered that iPhones have a podcast app. I used to watch this podcast on TikTok. It was like clips of it. And then I found them on YouTube. And I thought they only had videos on YouTube. But I discovered that they were also on the podcast app on iPhones. So I watched their newer stuff. When I discovered it, they were like years in, like 3 years in. So I went all the way to the first episode and watched it. The podcast that I'm talking about is Jumpers Jump. So shout out to them. If you guys don't watch them, I suggest that you guys do. They have a lot of good theories and they talk about a lot of funny things and I can relate. Like watching their podcast, while listening to their podcast, I felt like I was in the conversation without being there. So how my podcast became to be, yeah, I got tired of listening to music, so I resorted to listening to podcasts. I started listening to Jumpers Jump. And just like one of the guys on that podcast, I have like a similar story to him. They started their podcast during COVID. He was listening to music while doing his little side business, but he got tired of it, so he started listening to podcasts, and then that resorted to him starting his own podcast. And that's the same with me. I was working a job, listening to music, got tired of music, started listening to podcasts, which resorted to me starting my own podcast. Shout out to Carlos from Jumpers Jump. Thank you for the motivation and being my role model when it comes to this podcast. We're literally the same age, and if you can do it, I can do it. Anybody can do it. So thank you. But yeah, that's how it came to be. Nothing too extravagant. I'm not really good at talking. I'm literally talking to myself right now in front of this camera and like I'm having so much trouble. But it's kind of fun and I feel like it's gonna help me develop more communication skills. I suck at conversing, but we'll get back to that later on in the topic. So as you know, this podcast is named I'm Tired Podcast. I named this podcast that because I was just so tired of sleeping on my own potential, tired of not doing anything with my life, tired of sleeping on my talents because I believe that I really am talented and I don't put it to use. I have people tell me all the time, like, yo, you should be famous, you should be on reality TV. And I don't take those compliments in. I don't really acknowledge them. I just laugh at them. When I did plan on starting this podcast, I reverted back to those compliments and I'm like, damn, people really believe in me. Why don't I believe in myself? Why don't I believe that I'm capable of being famous? Why don't I believe that I'm capable of being a reality TV star, you know? So that actually motivated me, and that's also kind of a reason why I started the podcast too. Because there are famous people out there who started at the bottom and worked their way towards the top. It's not an easy process, but we only see the fame. We only see the outcome of it. We don't see the process. So if it doesn't happen overnight, like there's no reason to work towards it. But that's my issue. Like I want this shit to happen overnight. So if it doesn't, then I give up. That's also me being a perfectionist. Like with this podcast too, it took me a while to start it even though I had all the equipment because nothing was perfect. The editing wasn't perfect, the timing wasn't perfect. It just wasn't perfect to me. But I'm trying to learn that things take time and trust in the process. Because if you rush things, the easier it comes, the easier it goes. The harder it comes, the harder it goes, you know? That's why I named this podcast I'm Tired Podcast. To sum it up, I'm tired of sleeping on my own potential, and I'm just gonna be as great as I know I can be. Thank you to everyone who supports me. Thank you for everyone there who motivates me. Thank you for my role models. Thank you for all the positive compliments. Just thank you. I really just focused on the negative too much that I can't even fathom the thought of me actually being famous when it can be possible. Because I do have the personality for it. And I do want to be on reality TV. So, if any casting directors see this, please put me on y'all show and I will not disappoint. I will twerk the whole fucking season. It doesn't matter. Just put me on, please. Please. So there is one thing, but maybe two things that I do want to talk about. One of it being self-love and knowing your worth. Before I share this story, this isn't to come at anyone or make anyone feel bad. This is just advice. So I'm in a group chat with three of my friends. One of my friends is self-conscious about how they look. They don't believe that they're beautiful. They don't believe that they're sexy. They believe that they're ugly. So in the group chat, we're trying to hype her up, calling her beautiful, calling her sexy, just doing everything to try to boost her confidence. She goes, nope, still don't believe you. If that's the case, why don't I attract guys who want to stay with me instead of leaving? That triggered me because your attractiveness is not measured or validated by what someone else thinks of you. You gotta love yourself and know your worth. Being sexy is a personality. Being beautiful is a personality. It's not about how you look. You can be the most attractive person in the world with a shitty personality, which makes you ugly. I don't give a fuck. Because if you don't know your worth, you're gonna get walked all over. My advice for that is to fake it till you make it. I knew I was ugly years ago, but I would tell everyone, I would tell social media, and go out in the world like, I'm so sexy. I'm so cute. Even though I knew I look ugly. But you have to fake it till you make it. Now, I do feel sexy. I do feel cute. I do feel beautiful. Like, I do think I'm an attractive human being. But that's not because of my looks, that's because of my personality and who I am as a person. You can change and you can grow what's inside, but you can never change your looks on the outside unless you got money for it.